Pitawanakwat is with the Three Fires Confederacy from Wiikwemkoong Unceded Territory. He is also very fluent in all dialects, which may also include Chippewa and Algonquin. With over 40 years of research experience, Henry has worked as an archaeologist, an internship at the Museum of Civilization in Gatineau, now Museum of History, and is a member of Translators for the Translation Bureau Government of Canada. He was one of the translators at the federal election debate in 2019. Henry enjoys working with the language and is also qualified to teach the language, which is in danger of becoming extinct.
Naha, Henry biton kodnishnakas, Wiikwemkoong, nedom nesingdenchaba. Gino no goma piwitan an gedon na, non skonage wi de battama, Anishinaabemowin no shiat, menot in no. Miskumandattam get battamanango, getin no na Anishinaabemowin. Menosna up to come nagis good mon piece ma banam, parkong gibi na. Wams not test to get manda. Give no menden dam. Mon pi, to me yamba pishui gongo chu nam, atkin gunning. Some senat test doing manda. Migani mon pi. Mi manda katakim na mi gena manda ketish yana na ma bo katak nam skok me koi katak nam kamamana. Naha. Okay, so the very first thing I want to do is I'm going to lay down some tobacco, which is a custom for my people. It's a sign. The eagle feather is a sign of strength and truth. Tevoewin menop skosiwin. Menoske ma sema. This tobacco. It's similar to somebody going to court and placing their hand on the Bible and swearing they're going to tell the truth. This is similar to us. With respect to Mother Earth, I'm going to say thank you to Mother Earth with this tobacco and offer this tobacco in thanks. And ask for some guidance that I may only speak the truth here of what I have observed and what I have seen, to talk about everything in our language. Okay, I just lay a handful on my hand, eh? Don't need very much. Okay, so I'm gonna lay this tobacco down. Usually we hold it in the palm of our hands while we give thanks to Mother Earth. And also we hold it in our left hand because it's closest to our heart, in genuine and asking for guidance from Mother Earth and the Creator, that we may only speak the truth here. So as I lay this tobacco down, I say, Chimigoch, kinagego, shemnedo, kinagego gami shangopi. Voksen menige kinagego no pitrim no de etoko devoy window the what the mamma pinango manda. Chimigoch, migoch. Okay, now that I'm gonna explain. My name is Henry Pitawanakwat. I come from Wiikwemkoong, Manitoba Island. It's an unceded reserve. That is the only community that's left unsurrendered in Ontario. It's an unceded reserve. The language is still very much alive, even though it's rapidly going extinct. And it's very, very scary because a lot of the stuff that I will explain here has to do with the language. I come from the Three Fires Confederacy of Potawatomi, Odawa, and Ojibwe, but can also include Chippewa and Algonquin. I speak all 5 different dialects, or I know the difference in the dialects, and I can understand each person in those different tribes. The reason the language is very important is because the language has a totally different concept and a totally different perspective in life. Everything is different. The way we look at stuff. It all stems from respect. Respect for human life, respect for plant life, respect for everything that's life. Water, fire, everything. Everything in the universe that the Creator had given us to use for survival, including our language. It's so sad to say that our language is almost extinct. It was due to forced assimilation on my people. We were punished for speaking our language. We were put in residential schools where we were punished to speak our language. It was a no-no. Our custom and our culture was in the Indian Act. It was forbidden. We couldn't practice our ways. So much has been lost. All the teachings, all the warnings that were in the teachings, the way of life of my people. Everything was in the language. The concept, the perspective was all in truth, Ojibwemowin, and respect, not in moin. Humbleness, sharing. All today, which is known as the 7 grandfather teachings. Those were not teachings when I was a little boy. Those were a way of life. Words were not given. Action was taken. Love was shown. Honesty was shown. Bravery was shown. Everything that you see in the 7 grandfather teachings was shown through action, not through words. Although we were a very oral people, we didn't have written versions of anything. Everything was spoken of, and everything was through action. If you seen somebody doing something wrong, you immediately approach that person and you told him you're doing wrong. This was the way of sharing that what we knew that he was doing wrong. Either through experience, we experienced that we may have done the same mistake and learned from it by karma returning to us and hurting us. This is the strong belief our people have. And we were often looked at as uneducated people. But it wasn't the case. I'm sorry to say, but everything was in the language. The degrees that you go to school today, to become whatever you want to become. We had doctors, we had astronomers, we had psychiatrists, we had people that were in every walks of life. We had the same degrees. We didn't put anybody on a pedestal. There was no level system for us. We believed that everybody was unique and everybody had their own ability to contribute to human life. There was a purpose for everything in life, all plant life. Everything was alive. Everything had a purpose. Every event that happens in your life has a purpose. Whether it's right or wrong, it still had its purpose. If it's wrong, maybe it was meant to teach you a lesson or for you to see something. But you learned. You didn't repeat the mistake from learning from that mistake. The way I see English language is it discredits everything. You observe something, you want to disprove it. You see a UFO, you want to disprove it. What was it? You want an explanation. My people believed to accept everything. What you see, don't question it. Accept it. It has a meaning. There was a purpose why you seen that. This was our belief. We didn't try to discredit anything. Today you have lawyers that manipulate the language and call you a liar, or you'll be punished for something you didn't do, all because you can manipulate the language. That was not right for our people. That was never done. We brought in people that knew, that had experience, and can see from the other side. We took the person and we respected the person even though they done wrong. We went to the root of the problem. We didn't assume, we didn't look at any other things, we found the root of the problem. So often a person is judged by viewing what's happening and you're not seeing the root of the problem. This is all in our language. All these perspectives, the concept you go, is all in the language. There was no such thing as arrogance. Arrogance. If somebody displayed arrogance in my community, he became an outcast. People would say, oh my God, you see the way that person behaved. They would shake their head. It was in shame. Our elders didn't like it. You don't treat, that was the number one teaching in our language. Nadedum, kwijebe modis. Respect your fellow. Never put yourself above anyone else or below. That was our concept, because both are very damaging. You're insulting the person, or you're making them feel really low, and it was totally unacceptable. All of this is in the language. I met a linguist not long ago. He told me, he said, I know 7 different languages, he said. He named them all. He French, Italian, and what he mentioned was very, caught my attention. He says, and the language I had the hardest time with, he said, was Japanese. I couldn't figure out why. Everything came easy except for Japanese, he says. It took me 2 or 3 years to figure out that their perspective and their concept was different. Everything in the way they see everything was different, he said. And I told him, I said, bingo. That is the way with our people, I said. It's all in the language. So he asked me, he says, how can I learn? What is the best way for me to learn your language? And I said, immerse yourself. Go to my community. I'll make arrangements for you to meet some of my people. Because he was very serious, I wanted to help him, and I wanted to see. For me, what I was gaining is I was hoping somebody can finally see what I've seen all my life and speak up, even though he wasn't my people, to speak up for my people. So he did. He made arrangements. He went and spent 2 weeks in my community. When he came back, he said to me, Henry, he said, when I drove out of your community, my perspective and my view of the whole world changed, he says. He said it was a very amazing experience, he says. Because the language is a feeling language. We talk about, the language comes from many different sources, mostly through observation, what we see, what we feel. All the five senses can be found in the language. The taste, the sound, the feelings, everything. All the 5 senses are used. But there's also extra. Because we were born with these gifts, we have that feeling, maybe it's called instinct, where mothers will generally have it when their daughter is experiencing a hard time in another city or another country, and that's their daughter. They feel it. They say there's something wrong, and I don't know what it is. I'm feeling down. This is the feeling they caught, was their daughter was having a hardship down in that country. These are the things that our people believed in, and we still carry those. Every individual has carried those gifts inside us. It's a very strong teaching, and we have to learn this. We were clouded in our minds through teachings, through education, through teaching us and straying us way aside from what humanity is supposed to be. We have turned to greed. We have turned to money, which is worthless, to survive. Disrespect. The first thing I thought of when I seen these bird feeders here, oh my God, at least they're feeding the birds. We owe them a lot more. We have destroyed their total habitat, the natural foods that they eat. That's a very small compensation we're giving to these birds. That is the responsibility. That's all in our language among our people. We don't destroy. We have respect for animals. And we often see, we study the behavior of animals. It's just a natural way because we have to coexist with these animals. I love going back home, and I do hunt too. But I do hunt, it is for sustenance. Because plus, I was raised in a traditional setting where it was a must to survive. And I still carry that in my blood. I love being out there with nature, with the animals, watching them. Those animals pick up that what we humans lost. If you walk in there with fear, and if you're walking in there with disrespect, you're going to get the same attention from the animals. A bear, it will not bother you. Respect it. Respect it. You have to coexist. It's his land too. He won't bother you unless you have that hate in your blood or that disrespect. If you show it, he will for sure attack you. I was always taught this by elders, and so far I've came across so many bears, and I just respected them. I went about my own way, and they never bothered me. They were close by, very close by. And this is the route we need to go. When I heard the elders talk about the way we're going to save Mother Earth is by reverting to the old ways, they said. And I don't think they meant getting rid of the hydro or getting rid of this and getting rid of that. We've become accustomed to all this new way of life. But what they meant is stop. When you know it's creating damage, stop. There's many different ways that we can travel. We don't need gas. We don't need oil. We have survived for centuries, my people, without that stuff. We're creating damage on the earth. We're taking from Mother Earth what we do not need. And plus, we have these levels. It is nice to have grocery stores so people can go and buy their groceries. It's convenient. But do you also know that there's dumpsters behind these grocery stores of food that's outdated but still good to be edible? These are filled every night for food thrown away. Meanwhile, we have thousands and thousands of people hungry. And this is a waste. This is uncalled for. We were taught to only take what we need in life. And it's so disrespectful. And the reason I talk about all this stuff, it's because it's all in the language. If you learn the language, you're educating yourself to a whole new concept and a whole new perspective in life. And you will see that only if you invite the negative in your life will start to get rocky. It's all in the language. Or if you do good, you will wonder, oh geez, everything's going so fine. It was such a beautiful day. You created that by doing good to you. It has to come from you to start the ball rolling. You have to do your best every day. Respect people, respect the animals, respect the land. Everything is in respect. And our survival here on earth is going to rely on all these teachings. You know what I see here today? What's happening? This pandemic. I have heard from my own ears elders speak of this pandemic. I often wondered if they were talking about cancer. In fact, I talked to my boss 2 weeks before this pandemic hit here in Toronto. I spoke to him. I said, you know, my dad, you told me, he said, there's going to be a pandemic that's going to wipe out a lot of people. And then I said to him, I'm just wondering if it's cancer, because cancer is becoming rampant, I told him. It's becoming like, And then 2 weeks later, this pandemic hit. My God, oh my God. I already had that feeling 2 weeks before. It's a gift, because I know the language. There was a warning given to me from what I was told way back that this was going to come. It's something that people are going to try and disprove again. You're crazy. You're talking about this. No, I heard this from my own ears, and I often thought about it. And now I'm being shown. This was the truth. And we have to continue. You have to continue. I teach the language. And when I teach the language, I often tell my students, I can teach you to become very fluent. But am I going to be able to teach you the feelings that come with the language? It's a feeling language. We have to start teaching our children from birth. There's a very enormous solutions that come in that language. We have to respect that language, and it's rapidly becoming extinct, and we need to take a stand now, which is what I'm doing. I'm trying to save the language. This is my job here, and I'm trying to, go about it the same way. And that's the pity of it all, is everything you need money. Money, that's something that wasn't even an issue in my days. Money was worthless to my people. It was material matters. It was helping each other, sharing. If you had more than the other person, share, because you only needed this amount. Now it's all for ourselves. We stock up. Oh my God, And then there's people with empty cupboards. That's not meant to be that way. Life was meant to be balanced. Our people understood the balance. Not and done. Kinagego was always spoken. Skena was another word for overreaction. We would often overreact to a situation and somebody would correct us and tell it, Skena, mena. We were taught not to make a mountain of a molehill. We were taught to accept what had happened and look at it, find a solution for it rather than assuming and creating and creating and creating. We put a stop to it when something happened. We looked at the root issue of it and we took care of it. Today, people assume when they see somebody going through a hard time. They assume by the time the person. And then that is another thing that's so pitiful is when they take the children away from the mothers. That's inhumane. Try doing that to a mother bear. Oh my God, he will rip you apart. That's nature, that's life, that's balance. You don't bother with anybody else's children. If they want, they'll say they can't handle it, and then hopefully a family member will step up and take that child. That's the way we worked in our community. It was a custom adoption, they called. It was caring for the community. We worked together as a community. We helped each other. Today we have laws. We can't even help another one. Oh my goodness, the stuff they accuse you of by trying to help somebody. Everything is unbalanced. We need to get back to the language. Language has the solutions. Jimmy, what's Monday Gobson doing? No Monday. Hopchugun even a go up and need a button. At the Granango Monday Bungi Shans and the Ketabatan with the Wine and Hopchugo. Up the Chippy 10 Monday with the Wine and me set them walk even a go. Nongon even on go mark. I'll geek and don't get up, chinging knowledge keepers can go to go watch when the geek can see not the Wine and all. Kai said, me set them walking away. Kai said, so I see my Kavades. No, congregation meme. I often transcribe. I do a lot of transcribing. I also belong with the Translation Bureau with the government in Ottawa, and I often do translations. And that is the number one thing I always tell them, is I cannot go word for word with your English language. Otherwise it won't make sense in my language. It won't make sense if you transcribe, because it doesn't, we have a different concept. I have to manipulate what they say and put it into proper context in my language. It's the same thing with a blueprint. A blueprint, I could look at a blueprint and find it very complicated through the educational system of the English language. I look at it, but if I change my concept and look at it in the native perspective, everything becomes very simple. Oh, make sure the woman the walk, she can almost I talk to myself, oh, this is not hard. Oh, this is very simple. I break it down. But, it's so, it's such a shame sometimes. It's a bonus for me when I have this language, because it helps me in difficult situations to calm down, not to escalate the situation, to look at it in a proper perspective. And with that comes solutions. And with that today, I'll leave you with that today. I will come back with some more sessions, which I will be talking about tribes versus clans. I will be talking about many different topics in other sessions. Migoch, thank you very much.